Okay, welcome back to our channel, MegaWhale team. Thanks for tuning into another video. Today's video is going to be a GMT update. We haven't done an analysis yet for this coin on this channel, but I've had a lot of requests asking me to do so, so that is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be taking a look at the short term and the long term, talking about the technical analysis, the previous price action, to give you guys the most accurate and descriptive analysis of the potential price movements we can. Before we get started, if you do have any questions, go ahead and leave them down below. Let me know what you think about this coin. I want to hear your thoughts, so you can leave a comment down below. Tell me if you like it, tell me if you have some, tell me if you made some profit on it, because it did go up around 30x. And finally, you can find the links in the description below to our Telegram, our Twitter, and of course, our VIP. Let's dive right in. So GMT is looking exceptionally well. It saw a huge rally up from about 10 cents at a local bottom, about nearly a little bit over 30x. So basically 30x, guys, in such a small amount of time. March, April, in like 2 weeks it did 30x. Insane, guys. It went flying. And we talked about GMT on our VIP Telegram way back. We talked about it around on the 10th of March. We said, you know, watch out for GMT, guys. You know, it's going to do well in the future. Unfortunately, I didn't put out a trade signal for it. But I know a few of my members ended up getting on board and it just went flying. It's one of those coins where, you know, a lot of this price action, a lot of this movement upwards was just FOMO. It's very rare to see a price or a coin, you know, pump 30x on, you know, the fundamentals alone. Generally, it's in such a small period of time. It's generally, you know, it rises a few 100%. People get, you know, bullish, and so the money just keeps flowing in. It's a prime example of what we saw here. Money just kept flowing into this coin, and it went through the roof. So what we're going to do first to start with is we're just going to label some major support and resistance zones, of course, starting all the way down the bottom at that lowest possible level, which is that 10-cent zone. And that obviously that absolute low for GMT, that local bottom. Moving up from there, of course, we do have some minor supports at 28 cents. This was acting as a pretty major support at the time, and now it's so far away, it's a minor support. We bounced that zone, which sent us up another 200 to 300%. Coming up, finding a lot of support and ending up in some sort of ascending triangle pattern. Now, obviously, ascending triangles are bullish patterns, and we saw this, in fact, break up to massively to the upside, which was nice to see. And of course, we can see the pattern over here. We saw this ascending triangle, obviously breaking upwards and having that massive explosive move we saw over the course of 4 days, which totaled about 300%. Since then, GMT definitely local topped, and it topped at around $3.13, $3.12 for an all-time high, guys. And we do have minor supports along $2. We obviously have our psychological support at that $2 range. Therefore, we're going to indicate this zone here as a support zone. So give me 1 second just to draw the support zone in. What I like to do is I get the gray box out and I just go ahead and delete the red lines, and that is going to be our support zone. So that is what we're looking for, and we can say with pretty good confidence that this whole range here, I'm going to draw real quickly, this whole range here, we just don't have a lot of support resistance, we don't have a lot of volume, and we have basically no price action, should I say. I'm going to bring up the volume profile. We have almost no historical price data within this range. Even if we bring up the VPVR, we have basically no historical trading action or no pressure within this range. So $2 to $2.10 is acting as a very strong support. The next major support down from here is going to be sitting all the way at 75 cents, guys. So we have a massive gap in this market here, which is going to be, you know, from current price, a negative 60% gap. So entering now with a large amount, I wouldn't be advising towards it. And I just want to point out, if we lose $2, I would definitely be selling GMT. I would not be holding on to GMT under $2. We have no historical buying or selling pressure over here. We have nothing to go off on the chart besides just a green candle going up. There's not enough data to really tell us that we will find support anywhere along this range here. We could literally just tank it. So I'd be very cautious in buying GMT if it loses $2. But today's video is more talking about the long term. We have just analyzed the broader picture, and we just told you guys that under $2 invalidates and we crash. So we're not going to be talking more about that. We already know now that if it drops below $2, you should avoid the coin until it finds decent support and tells us otherwise. So for now, we're going to focus on this top section and try analyze and find out what is going to happen from here. So what we do need to do is draw in our support lines, and of course we have this major support line, which is our ascending support line moving upwards, and from here we also have a major support line from here moving downwards. Straight away, guys, we can already identify this pattern, and we can obviously identify it as a pennant. All right, a pennant is a area of consolidation where you have quite a wide entry, and as you push along in time, as time periods transcribe, or should I say, we see a convergence of the price between our descending and our ascending trend lines. So that is what we're seeing right now, and of course we have to keep in mind that these pennants can break upwards or downwards. The direction of the break is determined by the direction of the break of the trend line. So in saying that, if we lose this trend line here, there's a pretty high chance we're going to be ending up in this zone. If we lose this zone, we're going to be crashing downwards. We can bounce from this zone back into the pennant and continue upwards, and of course if we break this descending trend line, this one here, there's a pretty high chance that we continue upwards back to $3. So right now would be a very low risk entry for GMT, in the sense that your entry is right above that support line, and all you need to do is put a very, very slight stop loss below the support line. Would I be looking to enter now? Personally, with the state of Bitcoin, I would not be looking to enter now, although that is my personal standing due to my own risk reward rate, my own risk tolerance, and I'm not really looking at trading right now. But if you were interested in trading GMT and you love GMT and you think GMT is on a very bullish spot, buying some GMT now isn't the worst decision you can make. I definitely don't recommend towards it, but if we're looking at a purely statistical analysis based on the data and based on distance between supports and resistances, now is more favorable to buy in comparison to when it was like up at around $2.50. Okay guys, so we can definitely see a push upwards, but I'd be waiting off. I would really like to see the price move upwards and maybe reclaim, you know, $2.20 before I'd be confident in buying. Until then, I do expect this price to either crash downwards here, or, you know, very small chance of us continuing upwards and breaking out, especially with the state of Bitcoin. So let's take a look at some of the technicals, guys, because there's not much we can really go off on this chart if we just look at the macro structures, purely because there really isn't much data. There just isn't much data, so it's really hard to just go off the data alone. We need to look at some more technicals on a smaller time frame to try to predict where this price is actually going. So we're going to start with the Ichimoku Cloud. And we can see a few things on Ichimoku Cloud, particularly on the 4 hours chart, something that we haven't seen yet occur, which is first, the price has actually dropped below the clouds. And if you've watched any of my videos on Ichimoku Cloud, or you've been listening to any videos where I've used Ichimoku Cloud, you would know that when the price drops below the clouds, below the conversion line, and the conversion line drops below the baseline, it's a pretty strong sell signal. The only way we get a stronger sell signal or a stronger confirmation of the trend is if this green line here, you can't really see it, but it's over here, drops below the clouds as well, and that will confirm the downtrend. So we go to a smaller time frame, what can we see? Well, we can see just that. We can see the price is under the conversion line, rejected off the baseline, we're underneath the clouds, and the price momentum is negative. We are in fact in a downtrend, a short-term downtrend. So what we would need to see for this price to reverse and to bounce here, we would need to see some sort of break of this micro structure. And of course we have this descending trend line here with our ascending trend line. And of course, if we can break through this micro structure, we have to reclaim this entire zone here. We have a lot of resistance in this zone here between the $2.40 range and the $2.23 range. This cloud is acting as major resistance. It's going to be very, very hard for GMT to push upwards here. And looking at that 4 hour time frame, look at the macro, it is not looking favorable for a move upwards. Let's take a look at the momentum, let's take a look at the MACD, and let's take a look at the RSI and see if we can find any hidden breakouts or divergences on the chart. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Bring up the RSI, here we go. All right, let's go to the 1 hour time frame to start. So we can see on the MACD, not much. It's really just representative of a consolidation. Of course, we don't really see too much on the chart here. We had our bearish divergence up here, and obviously just price consolidation. Momentum is very much just fluctuating between positive and negative, we would like to see a crossover of the 0 point line on the MACD before we're looking at long entries, but until then, it is very much just moving sideways. As for the RSI, again, not much is happening. We did have a period of consolidation over here, and we broke out of that, resulting in a drop back down towards the support zone. So we can draw a line on this bottom line, this bottom support line here, and we can see that we had this double bottom, and obviously the price is rejecting on this small term time frame, and it will most likely come down and retest this trend line again, unlikely to hold. So zooming out once more again, guys, we can see this on a larger time frame over here. We can see that the RSI has really bottomed out on that 4 hour at around 40. We haven't really seen any prices below 40. Currently, we do have a little bit of resistance, a little bit of support at this 43 to 40 zone. We can indicate this on the red line. And I would like to say for the RSI, if we do lose 40 on that RSI, over here, we can expect a continuation and bleed downwards, as we would expect the price to do so too. Okay, guys. So we've talked a lot about the bearish scenario, and we talked a little bit about, what to expect. And I think in this point in the video, if there's anything I really want you to take away, and that is the $2 to $2.10 range. That is a major support zone. If we lose that zone, GMT will crash violently. All right. I don't care. There's no if, buts, and ands. If we lose that support zone, GMT will crash violently. Right? As simple as that. Until then, we're seeing some sort of consolidation in a neutral pattern. Very hard to tell where this is going to head at the moment. There's a lot of conflicting data, and of course we don't really have enough data in general to give a more comprehensive analysis, because the coin has only been active on charts for about a month. We don't really have enough data to analyze the history or any price action within this range, or even within this range before. So a lot of this stuff is speculation. It's really hard to give you guys an accurate understanding, but we can define major zones of interest. And we just defined this major zone of interest. The next major zone of interest we can define is going to be the $2.65 range. We've acted as a major support around this zone 3 times now, meaning that if we are able to break above and get above this zone, it is very likely that GMT will push upwards back to an all-time high to $3.13. So with all that being said, how should you wait? How should you trade this? Well, we've already talked about that downside, so you guys already know what to do there. We'll talk about that short term. If we break this descending trend line, you're probably good for an entry with a stop loss below this ascending trend line. If you want a safe entry, guys, wait for this. Just wait for $2.65 to break. When that happens and you find some support, or even the retest down here, you can push upwards to about $3.13. Okay, team? If you have any questions, leave them down below. I hope this video helped. Obviously, there's not really that much to go over for GMT, just because there really isn't that much data for the coin. So I hope you learned something, and I hope if you are in the coin, you're keeping an eye on that $2 to $2.10 range. And if you're entering the coin now, you're interested in entering the coin now, you've taken in consideration some of our short-term resistance and major long-term resistance, those horizontal levels that we talked about, and what we need to actually break above for this coin to flip bullish again. Okay, with that being said, I'll catch you in the next video.